The ANC has been promising transformation for 30 years. Yet today, South Africa still operates two separate economies, black versus white, the rich versus the poor, the haves and the have-nots. And the thing is that you can pass as many race-based laws as you want, but without a functioning state, they're just going to keep producing drama, not delivery. Hey all, Nix here. My video today is the simple, uncomfortable truth. The conversation we should all be having. Race-based legislation, it can be used as a tool for redress. Whether you like it or not is a separate video, but it cannot be fixed by a broken government. Until the ANC and the state it leads shows actual measurable outcomes, targets, and honest, tangible delivery, laws that simply assign benefits to certain races will keep enriching a few and frustrating the majority of us. I mean, let's just look at the numbers, for instance. 3 decades later, inequality remains shockingly high. Unemployment is chronic, as in capital CHRONIC, chronic, the worst in the world. And this isn't speculation, it's a lived experience amongst the many millions of us, and the data you can't ignore. We've seen the graphs. If the economy doesn't create jobs and broad opportunities, handing preferential access to a shrinking pie is basically just reallocating crumbs. And those crumbs are getting smaller and fewer. So let's talk about land reform, supposed to be the cornerstone of transformation. But instead, we have a decades-long slow-motion process with limited, barely visible results. For the ordinary people, the government has bought more land than they've redistributed. When flagship programs underperform, the ones that are putting the ANC's brand on stage for us to look at, when those projects underperform, it becomes obvious. Laws and slogans alone don't create farms, jobs, homes, education, medical care, and that's because that's all it is. Laws and slogans. The only thing that's going to see change in South Africa now is that the ANC, the government, start looking at implementation, project management, and enforcement of all sorts of laws, agreements, and contracts. And that's a capacity and competence problem. That has nothing to do with ideology. The backlog of transformation sits in the ANC's hands. They are so used to being the party that fought for the rights of the suppressed, the underprivileged. So when they used to stand on stage and say, we demand X, Y, and Z, the apartheid government went and sorted it out and delivered them something. I don't know if it was great, I don't know if it was what they wanted, but something happened. And it's almost as if that same mindset sits with the ANC now. They stand on stage and say, we must, we want, we should, we will. But perhaps they're so used to just standing on stage and demanding stuff, and it's just happening, that they forgot that they are now in control of making sure all of this stuff happens. And that's a capacity and competence problem. Their ideology stands in their way. And then you look at things like programs such as BEE, EEBB, and that was intended to expand black participation in the economy. Fantastic, great, because now we have to open up the economy to accommodate a brand new set of clients and customers. What a fabulous opportunity for our economy. The thing is that they did do that, but it all too often goes to the winners of a narrow class, the politically connected. We know all about these people. Meanwhile, the poor majority waits. And that poor majority becomes poorer and poorer. And the divide between the rich and the poor become bigger and bigger. So when all these systems are gamed, corruption is built into the very fabric that is the systems and processes government uses, we can have as many laws in the books, and it all looks great on paper, but it will fail in practice because preferential rules are gamed. So you can legislate forever, but if the institutions implementing those laws are corrupt, the impact is hollow. And as I said at the beginning of this video, it is not about the redress, the laws, the legislation. It is about implementing those laws. But when those laws and the institutions are corrupt, the impact is hollow. We have half-built schools. We have half-finished apartments. We have half-completed hospitals. It's all hollow, produces no tangible results, costs more than it should. Meanwhile, the divide between the rich and poor gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So let's for a second imagine that maybe we got transformation right. Maybe the ANC delivered on one thing in 30 years and it was transformation. The problem then would be that infrastructure, energy, and the mere delivery of basic services would still be dead in the water, corrupt, failing, destroyed. So there might be a lust for growth. There might be the will to survive. But the economy must be able to supply the opportunities in more than just redress and transformation, laws and legislation. How many businesses closed during the worst of load shedding? The small shops I'm talking about, the little stores that sit on the roads in Joburg CBD and supply everyone the airtime and the chappies, the loose cigarette. All of those little stores had to close. A restaurant cannot stay open if there is no water. So South Africa's infrastructure crisis then would have been a problem as well. And that was also caused by redress and transformation. Without even trying to plan for skills transfer, they just kicked everybody out, brought a whole bunch of new cadres in. So no amount of preferential procurement will create jobs. If the factories can't run, small businesses cannot afford generators. An inherent human characteristic is that when we see promises, but then we feel left out, we feel like we're not part of that group, we start to resent the laws, the institutions, the people making the promises. Policies should be put in place to heal the past and not deepen the division. See, the thing about the ANC, they've never set measurable time-bound targets. Who benefits, how many, by when, for how much? Where's that detail? I want to see how many organizations have received BEE funding. And then I want to see a progression chart of how those people have been upskilled, trained, received facilitation and support, and how their profits have grown over the years, because that's redress, that's transformation. Not standing on a stage and declaring that South Africa doesn't have any race-based laws. We are not a racially based country, but the facts are the facts. We are. The fact that you even ask me to tick a box means that we have some sort of race identification. So whether or not you do redress, whether or not you agree with it, the starting point here is to set the targets and hold our leaders accountable. But where are the targets? Where are the results? And until you clean up your own dirty house, speaking to the ANC now, nothing's going to change. An incompetent state cannot deliver transformation. You need to transform your political party before you can transform and redress the inequalities that is South Africa. My advice for that is to take your nose out of everyone's business. We'll get it done. Don't worry about that. Race-based laws without a working state are like putting brand new sails on a rotting ship. Transformation without delivery is just political theater. Fix the institution, measure the outcomes, then use every tool, including race-conscious measures, but do it where it works. If you care about real change, don't get absorbed into the white black, apartheid, not apartheid. The idea that if we don't do this transformation, we'll go back to apartheid. For such a diverse country, we sure do think a lot about it's this or that, A or B. It's 2025. We can have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It doesn't need to be apartheid or nothing. It can be South Africa better. So if you care about change, don't get distracted by labels. The people who are responsible for the transformation are also benefiting from the delay in the transformation. They will continue with the same narrative because it works for them. It's our responsibility to educate ourselves and then to educate others that until you deal with the very incompetent state we find ourselves with, the people who cannot even keep the lights on, who cannot grow an economy, are then responsible for transformation and redress. Like, you are so incompetent, you can't do basic service delivery, but you want to do one of the largest transformation projects the world has ever seen. 1 + 1 does not equal 2 here. And no matter what the government says, it's all just a farce because the stats say otherwise. The thing is that we're responsible, us, the taxpayers. We need to stand up and start changing the narrative. Ask our leaders better questions. Force the media to do better interviews, to report on the things that matter. The question actually is, how is an incompetent state, how is an incompetent party, such as the ANC, going to actually implement transformation and redress if they can't even balance the books for their own party, nor for the country? How are we, the people of South Africa, expecting one of the most corrupt and incompetent political parties to deliver on a project as complex and noteworthy as redress and transformation? That's the question we should be asking. How on earth are we going to expect the ANC to deliver on that? They can't even get the basics right. Unless it's tax collection, of course. 10 out of 10. So to end off my ramble, historical redress is constitutionally required. Fantastic. But the ANC hide behind the statement, all blacks, black people as a group. So the ANC have put all blacks into one box. But it's not just about the color of your skin. So we can start off with race, but we need subcategories. What is your income? What is your education? Cyril Ramaphosa's daughter, who studied overseas, she travels with him. She went with him to go visit the Vatican. Does she deserve transformation and redress in light of somebody who's sitting in an informal settlement? Who deserves redress more? They're both black. See, what's coming to light now is that the ANC have an indefinite entrenchment of racial categories. So again, I ask, for how long does this transformation take place? At what point do we know that we've achieved the goal of transformation? Because if the people who have already received the transformation, Cyril, his daughter, Julius, all of these people, they shouldn't continue to receive transformational funds, which is what is happening at the moment. And we continue to build the divide between the races, continue to build the wall. So to sum it up, a failed state, a political party that thinks they rule the country, doing as they please, corrupt as ever, are not going to be able to handle the sheer complexity that is transformation and redress. But knowing Cyril, he'll put a commission together to get to that conclusion, and then we'll probably get a new SOE. The Transformation Company. So drop me a comment to let me know if you think the race-based transformation, black transformation, that's done now. You had your chance. You've had 30 years. You failed. What we need now is economic transformation. But that requires a competent state. Only a competent state can deliver economic transformation. And that would grow the pie, which is our economy. And that would create space and opportunity for the impoverished to join us. Come with us. The pie is big enough for all of us. What's happening at the moment is the ANC are diluting the pie. It's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And our only focus should be the economy. We need to change the narrative. We need to be asking better questions to the media and our politicians, because apparently citizens are the only ones who think it's the right thing to do. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you for joining me up until the end of the video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Really does give my channel a boost. Nikki and Paul, you guys are number one. Then have a great day. Have a good weekend. G20 weekend, guys. Keep it together. You are all amazing. Appreciate you. Have a great day.